Hey guys, welcome back to SHAYSGARDEN Edibles. Although it's a beautiful day here in Houston, Texas, I've got way too many things to do on the inside. One of those things is preparing my garden to freezer to pantry pasta sauce. And I decided to bring you guys along. So come along. All right, so when I say garden to freezer to table or garden to freezer to pantry, um, these are the tomatoes that I grew on last summer. I had them all in the freezer. I took them straight from the garden, rinsed them, and put them in a freezer bag. I didn't bother to boil them and remove the shells or anything. Remove the peel or anything of that nature. And so I'm going to take this time to do that now. And then I'll also be cutting them to make it easier to process once it's in my roaster. So I'm not going to cook this on top of the stove. I am going to prepare it in the roaster because it's such a large amount. So I'm going to take all of those tomatoes, remove the core, slice them a little bit, and then add them into this pot where they will then go into, like I said, my roaster. This is a lemon boy tomato that I grew last year. I really enjoyed those. They tasted really good. And so that's probably going to be a tomato that I grow this year as well. See, some of these are already really soft because they've been in the freezer. And so I just need to remove that core part. This is one that needs to be cut. It's pretty good size. So I'm going to have some cherry tomatoes in here. I am going to have some, looks like mushroom basket. I also grew the sun gold last year. I grew the Woods Brim on last year. This one looks like it is it looks like it's a, what's the name of that tomato? I only grew it because of the tomato challenge, but it is a really huge tomato. I can't think of the name of it. I'll put it on the screen when I go back and edit the video. All right, so I have finished cutting all of the cores from the tomatoes. This is what I have left. It's going to go into my roaster. I already have some onion in here. I already have some bell pepper and some tomatoes. These are going in. Ooh, I think I dropped one. Oh, no, I didn't. Okay, so I can go ahead and turn this up to 250 so it can start cooking. And while that is starting to warm up and cook, I am going to cut my bell pepper and onion. But I first want to get me some good hot dishwater going. All right, that's done. You rinse this bowl out because we're going to use it for the bell peppers. washed. I removed the stickers, but I haven't washed them off just yet. So I'll rinse these off pretty good. I'm not going to use any Dawn dish detergent or anything like that. I do know that some people wash their veggies with vinegar or wash their veggies with Dawn dish detergent and rinse thoroughly. I just usually use tap water on mine. Wash them. That way anybody that's been touching and picking on them at the grocery stores, all those little nasty fingerprints are gone. All right. Got those rinsed off. Set this to the side. I need to put my hair in a ponytail. All right. So now, oh, I need to rinse the cutting board off. Let's start cutting these bell peppers up. I don't want the seeds or the core. I just want the bell pepper. Matter of fact, let's just bring this over here. Seeds gone. And now I am removing the top part of the bell pepper just to keep this top part. All right, that one's ready. Next. Seeds gone. Push that top part out. Got the bell pepper top left. And I'm going to do this until I go through all of these bell peppers. I don't think that that I'm going to end up having to use all of these bell peppers. I am going to go ahead and cut them up and put some, whatever's left will go in the freezer for whenever I make another meal. I tend to use every drop of bell pepper that comes with the bell pepper or is on the bell pepper. I don't want to have, I'm not throwing this whole thing away. I'm going to take this middle part out and throw it away, but I'm going to use this top part of the pepper. Let's This is the last one. All right, so I got all my bell peppers cored and de-seeded. I am going to cut them up. And the size that you choose to cut them up, it's entirely up to you and how chunky you like your sauce. I'm going to cut them, I guess, medium small. Because this is going to be cooked, which will make them soft. And then outside of it being cooked, it's going to be pressure canned. And so the bell peppers to me don't really need to be all that small. Like I said, it's up to you. It's your preference. Although the different seasonings that you add, those are your preference as well. I plan to add some salt, some pepper, some Italian seasoning, some onion powder, some garlic powder, and I think that's about it. What is it? You got it. Okay. Okay. Yeah, so they're already starting to cook down pretty good. Yeah, onion powder, garlic powder, Italian seasoning, salt, and pepper. And I may add a little bit of sugar to take the tartness out of the tomatoes. But like I said, that's your preference. I find that these cut a little smoother when you cut them from the inside. All right, so I've got all of the bell peppers cut up now. I think I'm going to take this measuring cup, which holds up to 2 cups. And I'm going to add that, well, that's a little over, maybe 2.5 cups. I'm going to add this into my roasting pan. Maybe a tad bit more. So about 3 cups of bell peppers. The rest of these are going to go into the freezer. Let me get a freezer bag. If I decide I want to make anything else, I'll already have some pre-cut up bell peppers. Meatloaf, gravy, whatever the case may be. Dressing, gumbo, you name it. I'll already have the veggies pre-cut up. All right. So next we are going to move on to the onion. And I'm going to cut up quite a bit of those as well. If there's anything extra, it will go into the freezer bag, just like I did the bell peppers. Now, as far as the onion is concerned, you are more than welcome to cut it up in big chunks, or you can cut it up in smaller chunks. It's entirely up to you and your preference on pasta sauce. Mine is going to be a little on the chunky side. All right, so with the onion, I'm going to do the same thing I did with the bell peppers. Remove the ends and the outer peeling. All right, and the rest of this will be cut up. I always generally take that first layer of onion off because it's a little on the tough side and it can be hard to cut up. And then not only that, when you cook it, it's still a little on the chewy side. And so see how this is? It looks like I'm gonna have to take more than one layer off because I do not want that chewy onion in my pasta sauce. All right, that's better. All right, that looks good. Got a couple more to go. Now, while I was over at Home Depot this morning getting some fixings for my chicken coop, because I'm about to make an upgrade on the chicken coop, got a couple of things that can be improved upon. Guess what I ran into? They had some onion starts. And so me, being the gardener that I am, although it is January, it's a little late for onions. They're not seeds, and so I may still have time to grow them. So I did go ahead and pick up a pack of onions. So I'm going to be putting those into the new raised bed that I bought. I'll either put them into a new raised bed because I bought another orange raised bed on Amazon to fill an empty space that I have back there in the garden section. So like I said, either I will put the onion starts in there, or I'll put the onion starts in my green stalk. It all depends. I'm going to check it out once I get out there. but I did get some more onion starch. So hopefully I will not be buying any onions from the grocery store on next year. Well, this year actually, and I'll be able to grow quite a few onions. We'll see how they turn out. I've grown onions a few different times. I've never had just really huge bulbs on my onions, although I have been able to cut them up and put them in the freezer. They've been rather small, and so I'm hoping for a much larger harvest this year. If that doesn't happen, I'll just continue the process and try to improve until I can get the harvest that I want. All right, so I think that this is enough onion. Let's see how many cups it is, because I've already put some onion in there prior to adding this onion. And so, yeah, let's see if this is 2 cups. Looks like it's going to be perfect. A perfect fit. Yep, 2 cups. So 2 cups of onions is going into the pasta sauce. It's on and cooking now. I'm going to add in 1 cup of water. And although this is going to be pressure canned, I'm still going to add a little bit of lemon juice into it. So with the lemon juice, I'll be adding in 1/2 cup. All right. And you do want to use the lemon juice from concentrate instead of lemon juice that's squeezed from home. And the reason why is because if you get a lemon from home and you squeeze the juice out of that lemon, the acidity could change. And so you want the acidity level to be uniform. And so it's best to use the lemon juice that comes in the jar or the bottle for that reason. All right, so we've got our tomatoes in there, we've got our onions, we've got our bell pepper. Now we just need to add in some garlic, and then I also need to add in some celery. So with the garlic, I'm going to do about 5 cloves of garlic. That's 1, 2, 3, 4. And these are decent sized cloves. They're not real small. 5. Smushing it makes it easier to peel. Go ahead and get this garlic in there. Then I can cut the rest of the onion up and put it in a freezer bag. But I want the sauce to go ahead and start cooking. Now, this garlic is also store-bought. My garlic did not do all that well on last year. Again, like the onion, I'm hoping for a much better harvest on the garlic so that maybe I won't have to buy garlic. Oops. All right, so I got my 5 cloves of garlic. I'm going to dice them. couple more chops or dices, and then I'll go ahead and put this in the roasting pan with all of the other ingredients. And all we'll have left now is the celery. All right, so that is how everything is looking so far. I've got my tomatoes in there, my onions, my bell peppers, my garlic. The celery is next. Keep that covered. Remove the bottom of the celery. You can put the leaves in your pasta sauce if that's what you like. I don't like the leaves in mine. And so I won't be adding those. I'll be cutting those off. To make the process a little quicker, I'm going to put this in. I have a small food processor, and I'm going to put this in there. Cut these little celery leaves off. I think it's probably about 67 degrees outside today. It's nice and cool out there. The sun was shining. It's starting to go down now. One more rinse. Let me get my little food processor. This will chop it pretty quickly. All I have to do is take them and make them a little bit smaller. And what was that, about 5 or 6 stalks of celery? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I hate trying to get this thing locked. It always takes me a while. Finally. I need to pay attention to how it is when I take it off. Okay. Okay. All right. See how quickly it chopped it up? I need my measuring cup so that I can know. Here's my measuring cup. Oh, it's got the onions in it. I need my measuring cup so that I can know exactly how much celery I'm putting in there. Yep, looks like this is going to be about 2 cups of celery as well. Or right at 2 cups. Perfect. All right, so I got the celery cut up, and it comes up to approximately 2 cups of celery as well. All right, so I'm adding my celery. I'm also going to go ahead and add in my seasonings. Got my Italian seasoning, garlic powder, onion powder, black pepper, and salt. And like I said, I will also be adding a tad bit of sugar, but that's just to take to remove just a little bit of the acidity so that I don't get heartburn, and then also to take some of the tartness out of the sauce. So let me grab my sugar. All right. So the sugar not only helps with the taste, but it also helps with the preservation, and it also helps with the color. So sometimes you'll see where you can make sugars, you can make jelly with maybe low sugar jelly or jam, and the color of the low sugar jelly or jam is different from the jam that's made with regular sugar. It's because the regular sugar helps it to maintain its color. It also helps to preserve it. So the shelf life would be a little bit longer. I don't want to add quite a quarter of a cup. That's too much. I think I want to add about 3 tablespoons, 2 tablespoons. So that's 1. I'm going to add 2 tablespoons of sugar. All right. We're going to go with this Italian seasoning next. With that, I only have about half a bottle of this Spice Classics, and I'm probably going to end up adding it all, but I'm going to measure it. 1 tablespoon, 2 tablespoons, 3, yeah, right at 4.5 tablespoons of Italian seasoning. Black pepper, I don't want it too spicy. You can always under season, but you don't want to over season. So with the black pepper, I'm going to go with 2 teaspoons. Let me think that over. I'm going to go with 1 teaspoon, just to be on the safe side. Now with this garlic powder, I'm going to add 3 tablespoons of that. And then I also plan to add 3 tablespoons of the onion powder. The only thing that could make this better is if I had some fresh basil to put in there. 1, 2, 3 of the onion powder. Now we got the salt, and I'm only going to add a teaspoon of that. Let's add a little more, 1.5 teaspoons. All right, we got everything in there. I want to stir it up. Little darling, stir it up. Stir it up. Little darling, stir it up. And I'm going to turn it up so it can start cooking. And I'm going to let it cook in this pot probably for about 35 or 45 minutes. Hopefully when I come back, it will be nice and ready to jar up. I do want to take my masher and mash it up a little bit since I've decided not to use the immersion blender, because with the immersion blender, it would make the onions and bell peppers too creamy. And so I'm not going to use that. I'm just going to use this and mush everything together. That'll smush all of the tomatoes and hopefully cut them up a little bit more, because they were frozen previously, so it should be easier to smush them. Ooh, that's a big piece of celery in there. Oh, I smushed it now. So it's already turning saucy, and you can see. Still got a little ways to go though. Yeah, so when I make a batch this big, it's always easier to cook it in my roasting pan, because it makes it easier for me to stir and get it all mixed in versus a tall pot. If it's in a tall pot, it's kind of hard to bring the bottom tomatoes up to the top and give everything a good turning. So I like to make it in my roaster instead of the big tall pan, the canning pot. All right, so I'm gonna finish getting this all mixed in and smushed in, and then I'll bring you guys back so you can see how it looks at the end. All right, so I did try the potato masher. I didn't like the consistency of it. I guess because the tomatoes are not peeled, and so I did have to go in and get my emulsion blender, and that's what I'm doing now. I'm just kind of going in and blending in some places to make the sauce a little smoother. And so it'll still be a little chunky, but this is gonna help with those peels. Like I said, since I didn't peel the tomatoes. All right, let's see how it looks now. If I need to do this any longer. Oh yeah, that's much better. Oops. All right. All right. I like this consistency a little better. Like I said, I'm gonna let it cook a little bit longer. And then we can start jarring it up. All right, so my sauce has been cooking for 35 or 40 minutes. It's ready for me to add it into the jars. I did go back and add a little more seasoning to it. So I added a little more salt, a little more black pepper, and that's it. I was gonna add more onion powder and garlic powder, but I changed my mind. Anyway, it's ready to go into the jars. I do want to go ahead and get my water started so it can start heating up. I'm gonna put it on medium. I need to add a little bit of vinegar in here. You can add vinegar to your pressure canner, or you can add it to your regular canner. It keeps your jars from having that little film, I guess hard water stains, you could call it, but it keeps your jars from having that. So I've already added a little bit of water in here. I'm gonna add some vinegar. You usually only need about a tablespoon. I always go a little overboard. I'm heavy-handed like that. But we got that on. It's starting to warm up. I'm not going to put the top on. Because what I will do is as I make the jars of pasta sauce, let me turn this off. I will add the jar into here. All right, so those jars that you see back there on the counter have already been washed or rinsed thoroughly. I washed them with the sink water. This water is very, very hot. I keep my hot water heater up high. I think I mentioned that before in another video. I'm going to run it and get it really hot now because I want to soak my lids. In hot water as well. Wait, how many is that? Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4. I don't know how many this is going to make. 2. I need one more. Ooh, very hot. Oh, wait, I need one more. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I got 2 in here. Yeah, I need one more. All right. That's soaking in the hot water. Let me grab a couple more lids. All right, I got 6 of my lids. 6 of my lids. I'm going to put a little vinegar in there too. I need to add 1 more. Of those. I got my funnel. I'm going to get my little magnet to help me get the lids out. And then also my debubbler, because it's not completely liquid. The pasta sauce is semi-liquid, and so you want to make sure you debubble. We can start with our first jar. Actually, I want to put this under there to make it more stable. And I'll be dipping it out with this. Ouch! All right, let's fill them up. These are the quart jars, and so these will process for 35 minutes. If it's a pint jar, it processes for 30 minutes. Keep in mind, I do have some eggplant chili that I made prior to this video, and I need to process these. So I'm going to put these in, and I'm going to do the process time will be 40 minutes because these require 40 minutes. So I'll just add an additional 5 minutes. All right, so start filling up our jars. Careful not to get anything on the sides. I want to leave a 1-inch headspace in the jar. And we have that from here to the top of the jar. From the lip of the jar to the top is the 1-inch headspace. So we got that. I want to take a paper towel. All right, so like I said, I want to take a paper towel and I want to dip it in vinegar so I can go around the top of the jar to make sure there's no residue or anything sticky that'll keep my jar from sealing. And so I just dip this paper towel in the vinegar, clean around here real good, make sure there's nothing on there, and it's not, because you see how clean that paper towel is? Nothing red. Oop, excuse me, there's nothing red on it. So I can put my lid on there, seal it, fingertip tight, and drop it in here with the next. It will stay warm with the other jars that are already in there. And with that, we can move on to the next jar. Oops. Like I said, fill our jars up, leave a 1-inch headspace. And I think that's going to be perfect. And it is. Take this paper towel, dip it in the vinegar, clean around the top of the jar to make sure there's no sticky residue or anything that would keep my jar from sealing while it's processing. Put the lid on there. Screw the top down. Fingertip tight. And drop it in there next to the other one. Jar number 3. Oh, wait, you know what? I got to go back and take those out because I forgot. I'm moving so fast. I forgot to debubble. So I got to take all of those out and redo them. Thank goodness I remembered that before I started processing. All right. Debubble. Looks good. Clean the top of the jar. There's no red residue, which means we're good to go. Let me take these other ones out and debubble them. Clean around the top of the jar. You should be good to go. Let's do this one. Now this one is a little dirty. Let's clean it one more time. All right, it's clean. Top back on. They can all go back into the canner. And we can move on to jar 4. Get a new paper towel because this one's dirty. All right. Debubble. Make sure we leave that 1-inch head space in there. We're cutting it a little close with this one, but there's about 1 inch left, a little under 1 inch. Dip that paper towel in the vinegar, clean around the rim. You just repeat the same process over and over, and it's a little dirty because it's red. Clean it one more time. Still red. One more time. All right, we're good to go. Put this top on now. Fingertip tight that lid. Drop it in there with the others. I got enough room for one more jar in there. So this is, I think, the Presto pressure canner. It holds 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 of your quart jars, probably 8 or 9 of the pint jars. I'm not real sure. I'd have to double check. But I think you can also double stack it, although I didn't get that, the divider where you can stack the extras on there. But that is something I need to look into getting, especially if I process pints, because that makes a shorter processing time for me. I'd only have to do it once instead of twice. All right, so we're filling up jar number 4. I'm sorry, jar number 5. And that's going to fill up our canner, jar number 5. 1-inch headspace, deep bubble. Looks good. Clean the top of the jar. Yep, that one's dirty. One more time. Perfect. Let's put our lid on there. Fingertip tight. Drop it in there. There must have been something on the bottom of one of my jars because I see a tomato in there floating. It's not going to hurt it. All right, so you can see we got our canner full. I'm going to place the lid on now without the weights. Screw it tight so it's on there. All right, so I placed the lid on. It's on there tight. I got the stove on medium. I'm going to allow this to come to a boil. And once it starts boiling, it's going to emit steam out of this little vent right here. And then at that time, I will let it vent. I'll let it push that steam out for 10 minutes before I put the weight on it. While I'm waiting on this to come to a boil and start venting, I am going to go ahead and jar up the rest of this pasta sauce that's left. So I'll be ready for my next batch. All right, if you look closely, you can see it bubbling and a little bit of steam is coming out. You want it to be a continuous flow of steam, and you want it to do that for 10 minutes. Then you can pop your weight on. So we're still waiting on it to do the continuous flow. All right. There's that continuous flow of steam that we're looking for. You can also tell that the pot is locked because this has popped up. When we originally started to warm this up, this was down. Now you know that there is some form of pressure in there and that the pot is locked because this has popped up. So we're going to do this for 10 minutes. I'm going to set my kitchen timer. Once my kitchen timer goes off, I'm going to drop this on top and it will start to add the pounds of pressure up until it gets to 11. All right, so there is our kitchen timer going off, letting me know that the 10 minutes has passed. I'm going to drop this on there to allow it to collect pressure, and then I'll see the needle go over here to around 10 or 11. I'm going to go ahead and adjust this now because this stove has a tendency to cook higher, and so I can never get it at exactly 11. So it's going to cook a little higher than 11 pounds, but I'm going to make the adjustment now, and hopefully I'll get it closer to 11. All right, folks, as you can see, we are approaching 11 pounds of pressure right at it. But once it reaches that 11 pounds of pressure, I am going to lower the heat so that it stays there. And I'm going to let it stay there or let it cook for an additional 40 minutes. And the only reason why it's 40 minutes is because I added the eggplant chili in here. The eggplant chili has a processing time of 40 minutes. So Suppose I had added ground meat to the pasta sauce. Because I added the ground meat, I would then process the pasta sauce according to the max time of whichever ingredient is in there. So if it's 30 minutes for just the pasta sauce, but if you're cooking ground beef and that's an ingredient in here and the ground beef has a processing time of 90 minutes, then you would process the entire batch for 90 minutes. Whenever you add an ingredient in the recipe that requires a higher processing time, then that's how long you would process it. You don't process it for the lower time. So if there's tomatoes that take 30 minutes, ground beef takes 90 minutes, you process it for the ground beef time. Regardless of whether it has tomatoes, celery, onions, or whatever, you process it for the maximum amount of time to make sure it has the approximate amount of pressure, pounds of pressure. So I'm gonna let this cook for 40 minutes. Oh, it's getting a little high. Need to lower the heat. I'm gonna let this cook for 40 minutes. If it should go below 11 pounds of pressure, then my processing time would start all over again. So if it goes to 9 pounds of pressure and I have to bring it back up to 11, once it reaches 11 pounds of pressure, you process it for 40 minutes again. If it goes below 11 pounds of pressure again, then you continue to do that process. You start all over again. I'd rather it process at 12 or 13 pounds than at 9 or 10 pounds because it requires a minimum of 11 pounds of pressure. All right, so I have finished processing. The processing time for the pasta sauce has finished. It is now lowering the pounds. Once this gets down to 0, this little thing back here, this should go down. Once it goes down, that's how I know there's no more pressure in it, and I can remove the lid and take out the pasta sauce and allow it to rest. I got a couple more minutes before that can happen, and so I will bring you guys back once it's gotten down to 0 and I'm ready to remove the eggplant and pasta sauce. All right, so our little indicator of pressure being inside of the pot has gone down. The pressure reader has gone to below 0. So I am going to turn this top and release the remaining pressure so I can take out my pasta sauce. I'm going to take the one in the middle. I'm going to say it's still bubbling. Got a little space down at the bottom. That's the eggplant chili. I can see the big pieces. Did you step on her? No. Penny did that. Penny? And plus she pooped on the floor. How long has she been up? Go back in there, Noah. Sit down. All right, pasta sauce is ready. All I need to do now is let it cool. I'm going to flip this water out because I do have another batch to go. All right, people, that is how I make my pasta sauce to store in the pantry. If you have comments, questions, or suggestions, I'd appreciate it if you could leave it down below in the comments section. Also, if you haven't subscribed to my channel already and you found my content interesting, I'd appreciate it if you could go ahead and hit that subscribe button. While you're at it, hit the notifications. That way you're made aware every time I put out new content. And like I said, I do appreciate you guys for joining me. And I'll see you on the next video. Bye.